Yay!
Hello.
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 My goodness, it feels like a long time since we were last live. So, hello, welcome. This is fun. So, today we're going to be talking about our June and July book, which was The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. Ooh, I like your version.
Because I ripped it off.
Jazzy. Which I picked, and before we get into the live show and the discussion, I would just like to issue a formal apology to everyone that was involved in this experience. I had such high expectations. Those expectations were not met, but we will dive into that right now. So I figure let's kick it off like we always do. Quickly introduce yourselves and your rating of the book, any like brief thoughts that you have, and we'll take it from there. Emma, do you want to kick it off?
Oh yes, hi, my name is Emma. Okay, yeah, I didn't love it. I gave it 2 stars, and it just wasn't, I don't know, like I can see how some people would really enjoy it, but it just wasn't my enjoyment. So yeah.
Okay, I'll go next. My name is Carolyn. I gave it a very generous 3 stars because I really liked the concept. The execution just wasn't there for me, and I kind of feel like the more time I have away from the book, the less I want to rate it. So I'm kind of leaning towards a 2-star, probably towards the end of the live show. It'll most likely be at a 2. So, yeah.
I'm Lucy, and I gave this 1 star.
Wow.
To be that person, yeah. I didn't get anything out of it, and I think that's the main reason why I gave it 1 star. Like, I just didn't get anything of value from it. And like the concept was really interesting, and I was really looking forward to like the exploration of art and the painting as well. I just think the plot, it had like nothing to it, and yeah, I didn't get anything out of it, so that's why I gave it 1 star.
Yeah. Well, I'm Mary. I also didn't like it, and I'm just sad because I thought the start of the book sounded very promising, but then it just got very messy and confusing, I feel like. I don't know if you felt this way as well, but I felt like I was reading 2 different books at some point. It was just very messy, and some people say that they like the concept. I'm not even sure about what the concept was, to be honest. So I think it had some nice ideas, but like you all said, the plot didn't do anything for me. So yeah, I'm just really disappointed, unfortunately. And I also gave it 2 stars, I feel like. So.
Okay. And then finally, I'm Kira, and I gave it 2 stars as well. It was just like, I felt directionless. I didn't know where the plot was going, what it was trying to achieve, what was happening, why it was over 800 pages long. And I also realized like halfway through the book, when I was doing a little bit of research on like what the hell was happening, that the painting on the front is actually of a bird. Which obviously makes sense given the title, but I've been looking at this and seeing an otter the entire time.
Whoa! Wait, what?
Oh my god!
Just look at it, see an otter, and just see whether you can see what I'm thinking. Because to me, I don't see a bird. I see like an otter being like, no, that's what I thought.
Amazing.
But yeah, so that was a bit disappointing as well, to discover that it was just a less well-drawn bird than it was an otter, but that's fine. So would love to know what you guys think if you've given it a rating. We've got a lot of people, I think, feeling the same as us. We also have someone who gave it 5 stars, so that's good for you. I'm glad some people enjoyed it, because I honestly felt bad. Like, I was seeing people throughout this reading experience have an equally bad time as I was. And I just thought, oh no, I've made people read this book. So I'm glad some people have enjoyed it. Another 5 star. the novel would have been 150 pages shorter, then it would have been 4 stars. I do agree. Like, I think it probably could have been better if it wasn't quite as long.
Yeah, I agree.
So, do we have any general spoiler-free thoughts or just general observations before we move into like the detailed discussion?
I guess like the main thing I would say is the plot. Like Kira said, it just felt like it had no direction, and it was like we were just following Theo around, like relocating to different households and experiencing different relationships, but like I didn't get anything from that. I was like, what's the point? Like, it's just showing these really toxic, unhealthy relationships that were just not fun to read about.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had no connection to any of the characters. Like,
same.
for such a long book, I feel like you have plenty of time to connect with the characters or sympathize with them, even if you don't like them, try to understand them in any way. And I don't know, I just didn't care about any of them. And I don't know, I feel like that was a big part of, like, it felt like it was so monotonous and it was taking so long to get through, because it wasn't like I was concerned about what was happening or wanted to see where it was going. It just sort of felt like it was, I don't know, like I was treading water in a big ocean of words and I was just stuck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Toby, but he was the only one.
Yeah,
Actually.
yeah.
It felt like there was a lot going on, and at the same time, not a lot.
Nothing.
Substance really happening. So, like, I was expecting it to be quite wordy and like description heavy, because that is what I'd experienced with The Secret History. But with that, as we've kind of all discussed separately, it's kind of, that book felt like it had a bit more purpose, direction, and focus. Whereas with this one, it just felt very, like, I just didn't really know what to follow. There wasn't really anything to grip onto to like guide you through aside from Theo, but I didn't think even as a main character he was that strong, because it was just kind of like, why are we following this guy? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But there's a movie.
There is a movie.
Yeah. With Ansel Elgort.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I could see him in that. I had literally no idea about that.
I think it's an Amazon Prime movie. I'm pretty sure.
Cool. I was going to say I might watch it, but I don't think I will, because why would I?
Yeah. I know, I was thinking about watching it too, and then I'm like, do I really want to re-experience the story? Not really.
So.
No, I don't know. There were like a few things I liked about it, like the art, but then I feel like so much of that discussion like got like moved to the very end of the book, where all of a sudden we had to do this huge spiral talking about art and everything. And like, I know someone was saying like it's about the fullness of life and all the little details and description, but like, yeah, I just like, it was just so boring to me that I just couldn't appreciate it. And I was like expecting to enjoy the writing, because I've seen so many people be like, oh, Donna Tartt's writing. But like, I didn't even notice anything like super standoutish to me that I loved or anything like that. I actually like didn't love her descriptive style in this one. Yeah, I don't know. It was just so disappointing, but yeah.
Something that I did. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You probably have
Okay. Okay. Something that I did want to mention was, because I went to university in New York and I've gone to the Met, and that's where the big event in the beginning happens, and it felt very much like I could put myself in the position of Theo in the book, because I understood everything that he was saying. He even mentioned Sanibel Island in Florida, which I go to every summer with my family, and he was talking about like just the East Coast of the States in general. So I feel like with that part of the book, it felt really relatable, because that's, what I've known my whole life. And the writing of how the city is and the perception of the city felt very authentic, and it felt, like Donna Tartt was basing it off of experience, and it just felt very true, because I feel like sometimes with books set in New York City, it feels very like glamorized and romanticized and sort of unrealistic, but this had the gritty quality of that the city has as well. So I found that really interesting, but that was like a very small portion of the beginning of the book, and then it just, lost me. But the scenes at the Met I thought were really, gripping, because I've had like art history classes at the Met, so I could just like completely think back to my own experiences, and it really like brought the story more to life. So that's like a positive thing that I have to say about it. I feel like she did set the scene pretty well in the start of the book, at least. So
yeah. I mean, I obviously don't relate to that in the sense of I am not from New York and I've never been, but I do agree that she created a much more like dynamic and vivid setting there. And you kind of just made me think about her treatment of like the East and West Coast, because it's something that comes up in The Secret History as well, because the main character in that novel is from, I think, California, and is kind of like very disillusioned, and the West Coast seems like a much more bleak location in her description of it. And then the character obviously moves over to like New England for university, and that has a much more like academic and like alluring vibe to it that I think creates it. She makes it seem like a really interesting setting. So I feel like that's clearly something that she plays around with. I'm not sure if there's like a deeper meaning to that in her mind, but it's definitely something that comes up in both books, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like she's very strong in her ability to set a scene and to make a setting really come to life, and it almost feels like it has energy and it is sort of personified. But I think what lacked, especially in this book, like we keep saying, is the plot. Like, it sort of felt like we have these powerful scenes with this general concept of a stolen painting and a terrorist attack, and a loss of family. And so I feel like they have these really strong pulls that are holding the story together, but it just felt like, I don't know, like it was loose, like all the strings were coming apart, and it just, I don't know, it just wasn't like holding me into it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so any more general thoughts, or shall we move into the more like spoilery section? Okay. Quick question. Why is the book called The Goldfinch? That's just the painting that's stolen, correct? Yeah. Spoiler number one.
I have something else that I could say. So I went to school I went to art school, and I took a bunch of art history classes. And so when I went into this book with, a painting on the cover, knowing the history of the Goldfinch, and I really wanted to be like saturated in art history and in the concept of art theft, and just the artistic culture of the city is very strong. And so I was really looking forward to that. And it felt like, I don't know, like it was, what's the word? Like not advertised properly. Like, you call this book The Goldfinch, you put the painting on the cover, but it's barely about the painting. Like, I wish that it had more, because I feel like the painting is present because it's hidden. So like, it's always present in Theo's mind, but it's hidden from us, hidden from the reader. I don't know. I felt like the execution of the way that the painting kind of played the role in the story sort of felt like it could have been a bit more, I don't know, involved in the plot in a way.
Yeah.
I felt the same way. Like, I think you could see it from the angle that the painting is a bit more quiet in its significance to Theo, and even he doesn't realize it. But like, it's only really until like over halfway when it's explicit that the painting means something to Theo. And like, even though you kind of take that implicitly, like it's implicit in the book, but just reading through the first 600 pages without the painting being actually examined or explored, it just felt, I don't know, like you weren't really getting what you're expecting from the book.
So, I mean, what does the blurb say? It basically says that he's like drawn into a criminal underworld, which is like, I think, I assumed like that it would be a much bigger part, and that is obviously kind of where the painting comes into it. But actually, for like a large majority of the book, like at least 2/3, that is kind of just a backseat and kind of just like a presence in the background. But it's certainly not a major feature, not as much as you'd expect it to be. And I think, you know, if we're honest, we're probably like first 150 pages, maybe like last 100 pages is like where the majority of like important plot happens that would be relevant to the title and what the, you know, description actually says.
Yeah. Like the beginning I was loving, and then the whole scene at the museum and stuff like that I thought was so amazing, and then I was just like so into it, and then he goes to Hobie's and I was like, okay, I'm getting really into like this art world and like his like the death of his mother and what that does to him, and then how that's attached to the painting as well. I was really like into, and then at the end I feel like you know, like that whole middle chunk where like he leaves New York and then by the time he like goes to Amsterdam, I was just like not even there kind of thing. Like I know what happens and stuff, but it was just like too much. And then at the end, like that's kind of the focus that I wanted on, was like this trauma and like the art, and the painting is maybe like a placeholder for not only his mother, but him realizing that like everyone in his life is going to leave him, like his mom, his dad, even Andy dies, and so many other people leave him in some sort of way. But then he like kind of comes to realize that art, or at least the Goldfinch, this painting that he's taken, is what survives, even though he doesn't even have it with him for like most of the book when he thinks that he does. And then the only thing that I really was appreciating was like I don't know if it's the last line of the book, I don't think so, but when he's like, it's a glory and a privilege to love what death doesn't touch, I was like, that's so amazing. But like just like none of it to me was worth any of that discussion or the payoff of that discussion in the book. What she said, the book like loses its magic so quickly for me. So
definitely.
And I feel like the term less is more comes to mind when I think of this book. Like I feel like if she gave us less, it would have impacted the reader more. And it's those short lines, Emma, that you just said, they're really impactful, but they're surrounded by this like verbose writing style where it almost loses the power of those small sentences. So I don't know, like I was looking forward, like all of us were, to her writing and to her descriptions because she's known to be really great at it. But I don't know, I feel like less would have been more in this case.
Absolutely. Now, in the comments, I've seen a couple of comparisons to other books. One was a comparison to The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is obviously by Oscar Wilde. And then the other one is one that I've seen in a few reviews as well, including by Stephen King, which is comparing this novel to Dickens and saying that it's like a modern Dickensian novel, which I thought was interesting on account of two of the people here currently hosting a Dickens-themed read-along. So I feel like you're probably right in the perfect place to discuss, you know, what you think about this, because I personally disagree. Like I think
me too.
Dickens has like such a sense of like there's a charm in his novels that brings like this obviously distinctly Victorian setting of like industrial, usually London, and an orphan child, generally speaking, like sort of facing adversity and hopefully coming out on top. That's kind of like the pared down version of what's going on. I just don't feel like, aside from that, an orphan who faces a bit of hardship, like I can't really compare this to Dickens, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No.
I have so many thoughts.
I don't think it's because I like either Carolyn and I like really didn't like this one that we would say no. Because I think I could love all of Dickens' novels and like really hate this one and still be like, oh, maybe there's some similarity there. And like I can kind of see why someone would say that, like you said about Theo and like the description and like so much kind of life and like everything about the time that it's written being really included, and also so much description. But I don't know, it's just not the atmosphere or the landscape or like not that it has to be the same topic matter or focus that Dickens would have talked about, but I just don't think it's something that I would even like I can see it like a little bit, but in my mind I'm like, no, just no. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the only similarity that I can see is that they're, they both write incredibly long books. And I feel like she could have been inspired by the writing in terms of, like, I don't know, these vast, because, see, like, I see it and I don't. I feel like the only thing that I see is that, like, she saw that Dickens wrote really long books, so she wrote a really long book. Like, I don't know. I feel like something that I also wanted to mention is all the books that are mentioned in The Goldfinch, which is especially Boris reading a lot of Russian literature, which I obviously loved. And I loved all the references to Russian lit. And I forgot, I think I read it somewhere or something about like her being inspired by Dickens. And I don't know, I can see it when you say that, like, because so many writers obviously were inspired by so many other writers, so you can kind of see the qualities that maybe have influenced them and they implemented in their writing. But I feel like, I don't know, I would just have to disagree, because I feel like there's a quality to Dickens that is just not in this book at all.
100%.
Because like, even when, like, this book is incredibly bleak, and Dickens can be bleak, but he's also funny and charming, and I don't know, this book just feels like it has one quality to it, which was like that bleakness, where Dickens has like an overall feeling, an overall mood with other little hints of different emotions throughout it. So
I also feel like Dickens wrote for the masses, like he wrote to appeal to like wider society, whereas I feel like there is a sense from this book that it is appealing to like a literary elite. Not to suggest that that's what we are, but I feel like it is sort of put forward in a way that it's not commercial fiction. It's like very much like, for people who are interested in exploring like the deeper meaning behind art and literature and all of the meanings that you can find within it, rather than just exploring life, which is I think what Dickens did really well.
I love that. That's something I actually really didn't like about The Goldfinch too, is like I feel like it's a very like streamlined view, like so many, like I don't know, just like the kind of world that she's suggesting surrounding art is like, you go to a museum and you're in New York City, not whatever, but you like go in and you pay and like you get to see these like amazing works of art up close, like the real thing, and they like touch you and transform your life forever to the point where you feel comfortable enough to like steal them and take them with you for forever. But it's just like an experience that I don't think, it's not at all universal. Like it's not my experience with art. It's probably not really any of our experiences with art either. And like, it does deal with trauma and stuff like that, but I just don't think, like, I wanted more like art about life, or just like life, and not just like this kind of specific runway, I don't know, showcasing of art kind of thing.
It did, I feel like all of her books and like the perception of her books, I don't want to throw around the word pretentious, but like they have that quality of like, I don't know, every time you go on any social media platform and you look up dark academia, there's going to be at least one Donna Tartt book there. Usually it's a secret history. So I feel like there is this thought of her writing and her books being, like the cornerstone of dark academia. But I feel like, I don't know, like there is this view of it's only one thing and like you're supposed to be this one way, but I feel like, am I making any sense? Like her books and the perception of them, as well as the things that she writes and the stories that she writes, like you're saying, Kira, have this kind of like facade in a way where we're all trying to seem like we're one way when it's not always the case.
And I think as well, her books, I haven't read anything other than The Secret History and this, but they're very male-centric. And like, it's just reading from a male perspective, Theo, for the whole book. and like some of the language and things that were thrown around, it just didn't really sit well with me. But yeah, I think maybe that's another thing, like adding to that narrow perspective.
Yeah. And I feel like the women that were in this book were relatively not weak. Well, weak as in like a weak character. Like she could have written them a bit more complex. Like the scenes with Theo and Andy's sister when they get engaged, I was just reading that like, why?
Yeah.
I just didn't understand. Like I understand that he's maybe that's like the only family that he's really known, so he's clinging on to that. And you know, Andy's mother was like a mother figure to him, so I can understand in that way. But it sort of felt like, I don't know, I was questioning why she wrote it to happen that way.
Yeah, it was. I felt like his mum had the capacity to be like a really strong female character, and like even the parts of her that are mentioned after her death, which is like, you know, when she was trying to protect Theo and his money and all of that kind of stuff from his dad. I feel like that kind of displayed a strong female character, whereas, you know, Andy's mum and his sister, and I felt like they were lacking like depth and complexity, like the kind of complexity that they gave to, you know, Theo and Boris and, you know, the other male characters that kind of explored. There was more than was on the surface. I feel like that was lacking in the female characters.
Yeah, like with the characters in general as well, like I kept kind of thinking, like, I think it did a good job at being such, like, it just felt so suffocating at times, especially because like it's like an 800-page book about like the same people like coming back into your life and like never leaving you, and you can't get rid of them, and like they're always there. But like before I kind of knew that, like every time Theo would like go around another circle and get involved with these people again, like in my mind, just as a reader on like a personal level, I was like, oh my gosh, like please, I don't want to read about these people anymore. And like it does a really good job of like I said, like being suffocating, and these people don't ever leave you. Or maybe it's in Theo's case, he can't like move past this like one group of people that have been so connected with the event, like especially Pippa and his whole like obsession with her name's Pippa, right? Yeah. And his whole obsession with her at like, you know, seeing her at the museum, and then after that, but yeah, I just like as a reader I was like, okay, I want some new people. I want you to do something with your life. Like it's so sad for me to see you just like doing the same things with the same toxic relationships over and over again. Yeah.
Interesting question, which we kind of touched on. But yeah.
Yes.
Why do we think it won such a high literary award?
I was asking myself this so many times while reading.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I feel like, not to suggest that books that win awards aren't good books, but I feel like, again, it's kind of adds to the like pretension and the like exclusivity of books that are deemed worthy of like literary praise and merit. And I don't think it necessarily means that a book is good. I think it's just ticked boxes, you know, it's citing lots of high art, it's making a point about like the way that art sits in society, it's citing lots of books from the literary canon, and you know, it just really panders to that area of like, I'm making a book that features lots of other things that have already been deemed worthy of praise. And I just think it is indicative of a problem that already exists within, you know, these types of prizes, that they do only sort of make room for a certain group of authors and types of texts.
Yeah. That reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I think I forget where I heard it or something, but where like certain actors go for roles that they know they'll like be nominated for an Oscar for. It kind of feels like the same thing with like certain literary awards, especially Pulitzer Prize, because it's like, oh, like what you said, you're ticking all these boxes and you're giving people what you think will be worthy of this award. And yeah, it just feels a little, I don't know, forced, I guess.
Yeah, like on one hand I love that like sometimes it like came across as like a super celebratory book about art, but at the same time, like, it is a book celebrating what the prize awards and like holds as its merit too. So I'm just like, yeah, I see that. But like I did enjoy lots of things about this book too, but I just don't think like as a whole, like as a cohesive thing, would I no. I don't know. Just like, yeah, it's a huge personal thing, but just no. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like, the main thing that I keep thinking about is that it would have been so much better. And someone just said, do you think the story could have been told better in half the pages? Like 100%. That's what I kept saying to myself. Like, this is like 500 pages too long. I feel like if you gave us the beginning and the end, it would have been good. And I felt like the middle, the scenes with his dad established the relationship between them, but I felt like they were entirely unnecessary. And like, if Donna Tartt left the dad as this sort of lost figure, this lost character, it would have made his being a lot more impactful to Theo, because he's, never there. We never see him. So I just feel like she could have done so many different things with this concept to make it really strong, but what she did was just really underwhelming and way too long.
It just loses you, I think. Where if it would have been a bit shorter and more focused, like it could have really been like as impactful as I think The Secret History was. And someone has asked, I didn't enjoy this book, but should I still give The Secret History a chance? Have we all read The Secret History? I feel like one of us hasn't.
I haven't, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I mean, like, you liked it, Kira, right? Yeah, and I didn't love it, so I feel like it's like a kind of a toss-up. Like, I feel like you could really love The Secret History, especially because, like, we were talking about, I think, before we started this, there's so much more, like, plot there, and there's a lot of, like, storylines, and, like, it just feels so much more concrete, but it's still about, like, the same kind of pretentious art world and, like, academia as well. So, like, if that's, it just depends on what you want, I think, going into The Secret.
I think even in, like, the very basic like structure, in the sense that obviously we have like one main character who comes from like a bit of troubled childhood. It starts in the future of like the plot, and then it tells you something bad has happened, and then kind of goes back and talks you through exactly how you got to that point. But there are definitely similarities there, and I feel like that is kind of why I was less impressed with the Goldfinch, because I saw how it could be done in a better way in The Secret History. But like Emma said, I think they're both quite divisive books. Like, there are very mixed reviews on The Secret History, as there clearly are about the Goldfinch. So yeah, give it a try. It's definitely shorter, so if you're interested, see what you think.
And The Secret History has like, it propels you forward constantly. You're always like turning the next page to find out what happens. And there's always intrigue, even if you're not enjoying maybe the writing or the characters. There's always, I feel like it has that quality of you just want to see what happens. Whereas with the Goldfinch, if it wasn't for the book club, I would have DNF'd it at page maybe like 200, because I was just like, why am I reading this? Like I don't care how it ends, honestly. Like, it sort of felt like it didn't have that same pull of, I really want to see what happens to Theo. I really want to understand and maybe come to terms with like what happens with him. Does he get caught from stealing the painting? Like, it just didn't have that grip and that hold on me that was like making me turn the page, which The Secret History definitely has. So
yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I don't know, like, I know so many people love it, and like lots of people are commenting on my wrap up like the reasons why, and like I love reading those, so like I know so many people love it, so like please scream it into the void as well, because like yeah.
Oh, here is an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
Small part of me wants to compare to A Little Life, which was so widely loved. I wonder if people dislike this so much because they felt deceived being marketed as so art-centric. Now, for me personally, I didn't care about it being art-centric because I'm not like massively into like physical art and like paintings and stuff, definitely more inclined towards like books and everything. So I wasn't necessarily deceived by that. It was more so the mystery that I think was set up on the back that was to come as a result of the interaction with art that I felt was lacking. I personally think, aside from the New York setting, there's not really much to compare with A Little Life, and that has far stronger like character development and interactions between characters, and again it really does like propel you forwards throughout the entire novel. And I don't really think, aside from them both being considered literary fiction, that there's much to compare. But yeah, did anyone have any, like, we all want to say one thing that we did like about it, just to bring it back up again?
I really loved, like, okay, Theo, when he was like young and going to the museum, like I got so attached to him, and like so just like I wanted the best for him. I thought like him when he Pop Chick, yeah. When he was younger, I was like, oh, I just like want the best for you. I thought his character was like really solid. Like I felt like I like really knew him, and then like as he grew up, I was just like, what happened? But like before that, kind of, I was just like, yes, like you've invested me, and like I want to know. And I think that's also like a reason though why I was so just disheartened and upsetty spaghetti about just what came after. But like, yeah, that's I don't know. I think she did a great job in the beginning with that, but I don't know. And Hobie.
Yeah.
And like his whole atmosphere, I thought that was like so cool. I wanted to spend like forever in those scenes, but yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think, sorry, I didn't know if we were going in order, and then I was like, oh, we're probably going in order. For me, I think it was the settings and how she really brought the city to life. And because I, love art history and I love going to the Met, that really just, I don't know, it had my heart in those scenes, because like I could just feel what Theo was feeling and feel what his mother felt towards the painting of the Goldfinch, and that connection to art was just really impactful, because I feel the same way. So I think that was probably my favorite part of the book.
Okay. I think I would agree with Emma, like the beginning, and we kind of, with that bit, maybe it's because we were expecting something to happen. Like on the blurb, we know that he's going to suffer this tragedy, and I guess that creates something to compel us to keep reading. And I think like the initial focus on grief was really powerful.
Yeah.
The way that he just wanted to be treated the same by everyone, but everyone was treating him differently because of what he went through. I really enjoyed that, and then Hobie as well, but other than that, I can't really think of much else.
That's okay.
It's so bad, but I tried.
Yeah, I feel like the beginning was also my favorite part, especially the whole investigation they were doing, and when Theo wasn't even sure if his mother was dead or just missing. That was heartbreaking, and I loved the portrayal of grief there as well. But yeah, other than that, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so as someone commented, definitely Pop Chick was a great addition to the novel. But I think in terms of like best writing, I think the exploration of grief I thought was quite well done, at least like directly after the event had happened and when he was still living with the Barbers, and he wasn't really sure, like there was so much uncertainty about his future, and I thought that was really well done. And I think also his relationship then with Hobie was quite relevant to that, because I think the way that he was drawn back to him later on in the novel is kind of like, again, his attachment to the Barbers later on, that I think would probably not have happened if he'd have had like a happy, stable childhood. It kind of shows how that grief like infiltrates everything in his life, as he kind of like holds on to those parts of his life that kind of tie him to the experience and the trauma that he suffered. And I think that was really well done, and I wish that was like a bigger part of the novel.
What did you think of Pippa's character? Because I thought it was interesting how they were both connected by this trauma, and like they both went through the same thing, and I think that's kind of what drove Theo to have this obsession with her. But I feel like that wasn't, like, it did play a part, but then by the end of it, nothing really happened with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. She was just like completely like different. Like on his part, I feel like it was just this huge, not only like obsession with like trying either to understand what he's gone through and like suffering from PTSD now and trying to like connect with other people, especially like someone who's lost something in the same accident that he's gone through. But like I feel like there's just so much disillusionment and like this view that he was taking on of everyone like around him that he's now connected to because of his grief and like because of the absence of his mother, that like just did not, like you can see it when you're looking through his point of view, but like when he's trying to connect to like Pippa and like Hobie in a way and the Barbers as well, like it's just this complete lack of, I think, like reality, because she's a whole different person. Obviously her life is completely different, but like I don't know, it was just like it felt so weird to me, but like I could see why he was like, you know, continuing on with yeah, and that's what I mean, like it didn't allow us to see her properly, because like I feel like the way that he talks about Pippa is of course like completely different to who she actually is and stuff, but yeah, like I just don't see we actually like got her character, and like that's the whole point, I think. But
Yeah.
I feel like I would have loved to see, I know this is obviously a book with only one point of view and we're looking through Theo's eyes, but I feel like it would be really interesting to sort of go through the same things that Theo goes through, but in Pippa's eyes, like with the explosion in the beginning, and even maybe his mother's point of view. Like I feel like this is such a strong event and you could do so much with it, and like I would have loved to have more from Pippa. Like how did she feel? How did she cope? Because we get, even when he was visiting her when they were both very young, right after the explosion, when he first goes to Hobie's, and their interactions when she's sick, like that was such an interesting dynamic between them, and I would have loved to see like how she felt and how she coped even after he left and went to Las Vegas. Oscar agrees.
He agrees.
Yeah. He agrees. Totally. Very passionately. Okay, so of course, if anyone has any questions that they'd like us to talk about, anything you'd like us to address that you don't feel like we've talked about already, then leave us a little question in the comments. Suddenly, when I thought it was a live show, I was like, wait, is it comments? Is it a live chat? I got a little bit confused. It's hard to think when there's meowing in your ear, I think. But yeah. Okay, did anybody relate to Theo? That's a good question. As a character / human? Or as a character human? No.
Not particularly, no.
yes,
I didn't not like him, but I didn't relate to him.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I was saying, like in the beginning, but then as he grew up, it's just not a, you know, like the whole tone of the book, right, and like his mindset and stuff like that, I'm just like, this is like, it's completely different, and it's like interesting to see into, you know, the tone and the atmosphere and like essentially what he's creating as the book and what Donna Tartt is doing, but like as a no. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, an opinion on Boris.
Yeah.
Yes, I liked Boris, but I think that might have just been his choice of book.
I feel like it was a bit predictable to have the, like, you know, Ukrainian / Russian character be like super into Russian literature as like a key personality trait. But I also felt like because of the age that Theo was when he knew Boris, that kind of made him like a bit more of a transformative character and friendship and relationship, because it felt more independent of any influence of his past life experiences, and just kind of, I feel like they had a long-standing friendship, and I quite enjoyed that. But yeah, I don't know, didn't not like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Any character you loved to hate?
Not really.
Same.
I feel like I didn't really feel anything for the characters. I don't know whether it's just me, but I couldn't even hate them because I was just like, I don't know.
Very indifferent.
I was indifferent. Like I really didn't care about anyone.
Lucy, I just want you to like.
What?
Lucy, why don't you rip it apart for like 5 minutes? Just because I think we all want it.
It's like I don't really feel anything towards it. I'm literally like I didn't get anything from it. Like
same.
There wasn't any value. It was just Theo just I don't know being really hopeless, and like maybe that's just me, but I don't want to read an 800-page book where this character just so hopeless about everything, and like it was just a struggle to read because it was just so pessimistic.
And it didn't really make me feel anything. Like I don't know, like it, because someone just asked, did you guess the plot twist? And I was like, what was the plot twist? Like I like forgot for a second, and I don't know. It just, I was reading it and something would happen, and I would just, blank face, indifferent. Just I don't know. I feel bad because I know like so many people do love it, and I can see why. But yeah, I don't know.
Yup.
It's interesting, I think, that we all haven't liked it, because I do think, generally speaking, we've got like a mixed selection of reviews when we read books. So it's interesting that we unanimously don't like this one.
You know what I am waiting for, and hopefully it will happen, is for all of us to love a book. Like,
Please. Come on. Please.
Yeah, that hasn't happened. Oh my gosh.
I don't think ever.
Yeah, I don't think so. Wow.
I think, like, what have we read? I feel like it was close with the Phantom of the Opera, except if I wasn't in the book club, then you would have had it.
We forget about you.
If we just take me out of the picture for a minute, then.
I think we like Silence of the Girls, right?
Yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah, that was pretty positive.
I think we just thought it was
Gothic. We generally liked quite a lot.
Yeah, it was okay.
You know what's so funny that you mentioned Mexican Gothic? I was looking at my shelves right before the live show, and I wanted to make room because I plan on buying like 1 billion classics in my lifetime. And I have so many contemporary books that I've read once and I'm not going to reread again. And I saw Mexican Gothic, and I was like, and I took it off my shelf. So yeah, sad. I really enjoyed it. I just don't think I'm going to reread it. So.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We did all like We've Always Lived in the Castle.
Yeah, that's true.
And again with Julius Caesar.
Oh wait, Lucy. I don't think Lucy liked it.
I feel like if I reread it, I would appreciate it more. But like the first time.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
sorry,
same as for Julius Caesar. I think you guys all liked it and I didn't. So so we've gotten close a few times, but yeah, I think we're yet to find one that we like. Not all just like, but that really love. So yeah, fingers crossed.
We will be reading one soon.
Okay, shall we discuss that now?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
so brief overview. We've like decided this year, seeing as it's our second year of the book club, that we're going to do a book every 2 months, and whoever's going to have the live show gets to choose the book. So I unfortunately picked the Goldfinch.
Wasted.
No, I won't got this chance now for another 6 months or whatever. And then Carolyn is next. So
yeah. Okay, should I go get it? It's on my shelf.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Dramatic.
Where is it? Okay. Oh my gosh, I just knocked over my Etsy prints. I have them stacked on my floor in their boxes. I just kick them with my foot. Okay, very professional here. The book that we'll be reading for August and September, is Maurice or Morris by E.M. Forster, which is one of my favorite books ever. And all of you guys, the four of you, and maybe some of you haven't read it, so I'm very excited. It'll be a reread for me, which I cannot wait for, but it has an academic setting and it has dark qualities, but it's not seen. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people see it as dark academia, but I think it is. I mean, it could have, similar qualities. I'm really excited though, because E.M. Forster is one of my favorite authors, and I feel like so many people need to love him and need to love this book. This was my way of like forcing everyone to read it, pretty much. I'm like, you're all reading one of my favorite books. So I can't.
Other E.M. Forster book.
A Room with a View, Howard's End, Where Angels Fear to Tread, Passage to India.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it like
aspects of the novel? You didn't?
Is this like it?
Oh, no.
Okay, good.
No. Yeah. No. This, should I give a little synopsis?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So this is about our main character, Clive, who is dealing with homosexuality, as well as going to school at Oxford and Cambridge with his friend Morris, or this young man that he meets, Morris or Maurice. And it's about their relationship together, dealing with their feelings and not really knowing what to do with their feelings. And they're living in a society in England where it is illegal to feel what they feel. And they're trying to come to terms with how to live their lives, pretty much. And it's about love and loss and, societal expectations and perception of homosexuality. And it's just a very impactful book and beautifully written. And it's nice and short, too, which I feel like will be nice. So I just can't recommend this book enough. And the fact that, I don't know, that we're reading it for the book club, I'm just so excited. So, yeah, can't wait.
Sounds interesting.
I'm very excited. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The ending. Oh, this is a book that you want to read till the end. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think then, unless there are any other questions or points, what time period is it set in?
Oh, well, this book has a really amazing history. So, E.M. Forster was, let me just get to a certain thing. E.M. Forster was a homosexual man in a time where it was illegal. So he had these feelings, like he wrote this story for himself, and he wanted to give these male characters the story that he wasn't able to give himself. And he wrote this in the years of 1913 and 1914. Yeah, so it says in the beginning of the book, begun 1913, finished 1914, dedicated to a happier year. Because when writing this, obviously he was dealing with all of the feelings that he was going through and didn't really know how to deal with them. But this book was actually published posthumously in 1970 because he didn't want to deal with the repercussions of having published it during his lifetime, which breaks my heart because I wish that he could kind of see how the world has developed and, that homosexuality is no longer illegal and that people are, loving each other unconditionally, no matter gender or sex or anything. So, yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, but I have so much passion for him. I just can't wait to share it.
Well, I'm certainly excited to read it now. I didn't know anything about it before. So
okay.
Inspired me.
Are you intrigued? Are you guys?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Very excited. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
And feel free to not like it. Just because I love it, just saying.
congratulations to the Canada ladies soccer team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well done, Emma.
Oh my gosh.
You played so well.
Thank you.
Has Has anyone been watching the Olympics? I have, and it's been fun.
Yes, I love it.
Here and there, not consistently though.
But yeah, so a slightly less positive live show than I think we were hoping for, at least than I was hoping for when I picked this book. But already, I think feeling more positive about the next pick. So, yay! On that note, thank you everyone for joining us, chatting about the Goldfinch, and mostly supporting us in our views and critiques. And we will see you in a couple of months on Carolyn's channel. So enjoy reading Maurice.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.